I never imagined my life would twist into a story people whisper about, half in shock, half in envy. But the truth is never what people think it is, and mine certainly wasn't. I wasn't a gold digger, and I didn't plan to become a mother before marriage, especially not to the child of one of the wealthiest men in the city. Life just knows how to surprise you when you're already drowning. It started 3 years ago, when I was working as a receptionist in a mid-tier corporate office, juggling bills I could barely pay and dreams I had buried long ago. My mother had fallen sick, my younger brother was still in school, and I had become the only earning hand in a house that was falling apart like wet sand. Every day felt like running barefoot on burning koala. No pause, no breath, just survival. I first saw him on a Monday morning that smelled like rain and exhaustion. He walked into the office building with the confidence only money or destiny could give someone. A dark gray suit, sharp features, eyes that held storms, and a presence that made everyone straighten their backs. His name was Ahil Zaveri, the CEO of Zaveri Enterprises, the tycoon whose business empire stretched across hotels, automobiles, and real estate. But he wasn't supposed to be in our building. He was only visiting for an inspection after acquiring the company where I worked. Everyone panicked, scrambled, and nearly tripped over themselves trying to impress him. I remained seated, mostly because I couldn't afford to waste company time or energy pretending to be someone grand. When he approached my desk, I didn't even realize it was him until silence fell around me like a dropped curtain. "You didn't stand," he said, not in anger, but in surprise. I didn't know I was supposed to. I replied before my brain could censor my mouth. The room froze. He stared at me for a second too long, then a slow, amused smile curved his lips. "What's your name?" "Alina." "Well, Alina, it's good to meet someone who isn't trying too hard." And that was the beginning. Not a romantic spark, not love at first sight, just an unexpected conversation with a man I assumed would forget me within minutes. But he didn't. In fact, after that day, he seemed to remember me far too well. He visited again 2 days later. This time he asked me how my day was going. The next time, he left a cup of coffee on my desk, saying, "You look like you haven't slept." I hadn't. My mother had been in the hospital all night. Every time he visited, he stayed longer. He really listened to what I said, not like a billionaire offering pity, but like a man who cared. I tried to keep distance, but life doesn't always obey rules. He was attentive, thoughtful, unexpectedly kind, and honest in ways that bruised and healed at the same time. One evening, when the office had emptied and I was still sorting files, he walked in with a question that changed everything. "You look exhausted. Do you want to talk?" Something inside me cracked that day. I told him everything about my mother's illness, the bills, my brother's future, the weight I carried alone. I cried, ashamed of my tears, but he didn't flinch. He just handed me a tissue and whispered, "No one deserves to carry this much alone." That night, he drove me home because I was too drained to argue. And maybe I made a mistake by letting him. Because after that night, he became something impossible to define. And then came the night that changed our lives. It wasn't planned. It wasn't casual. It was two broken people finding warmth in each other after months of silent longing neither of us acknowledged aloud. Ahil held me like I was something rare, something he had been searching for without knowing. I felt safe in a way that terrified me. He kissed me like I was a promise, not a mistake. And then, morning came, and so did reality. I expected distance, I expected regret. But he was the same, maybe even softer. He texted, he called, he cared. But everything shattered 2 months later. I remember staring at the pregnancy test in my tiny bathroom, hands shaking, heart sinking, breath disappearing. 2 lines. 2 terrifying lines. I wasn't married. I wasn't financially stable. I wasn't mentally ready. And the father of the child, a billionaire. I didn't tell him at first. I couldn't. I was scared of judgment, of rejection, of ruining his life and mine. For 2 weeks, I avoided him, ignored his calls, kept distance at work. But O'Hill was not a man who let go easily. One day he showed up at my home, unannounced. I opened the door, and he looked at me with worry etched deep into his face. "What's going on, Alina? Did I do something? Did something happen?" I broke down, right there, right in front of him. Tears poured before words did. "Yeah, I'm pregnant." Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. Then he sat down, covering his face with his hands. I braced myself for anger, for shock, for disappointment. What came instead was the last thing I expected. "Alina, a broken bar. Why didn't you tell me sooner?" he whispered. I was scared. "I don't want to trap you. I don't want you to think Stop." His voice broke as he cupped my face. "You think so little of me." I cried harder, because I didn't know what to expect from a man who lived in a world far above mine. "I won't run," he said, "and I won't let you go through this alone." He kept his word. He took care of every medical bill. He made sure my mother got treatment. He supported my brother's education. But most importantly, he stayed beside me through every fear, every mood swing, every sleepless night. People talked, they judged, they whispered that I had trapped him, that I was carrying a billionaire's child without marriage. His family was furious, especially his father. "She is not one of us," his father had said. "This marriage will never happen." Marriage, the word burned. I wasn't asking for marriage. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't even sure I deserved it. But O'Hill, he fought. Not for society, not for reputation, not even for the child. He fought for me. And somewhere during those months, I realized I had fallen in love with him, and not because he was rich, but because he was loyal in ways people with nothing sometimes fail to be. The day our daughter was born, he held her like the world had just handed him its brightest star. Tears slipped down his face, and I had never seen anything so raw, so unguarded, so beautifully human. "She looks like you," he whispered. "No," I corrected, smiling. "She looks like us." For 6 months after her birth, his family refused to accept me. Society kept judging, relatives kept gossiping, but O'Hill didn't care. He moved me into his home, not in secrecy, not in shame, but with pride. He introduced me everywhere as the mother of his child, his family name tied to mine, even if not formally. And then one evening, after putting our daughter to sleep, he came to me with a question that chased every remaining fear away. "I know you think you don't deserve this life. I know you think I'm doing this because of our daughter. But I'm not. I've loved you for longer than I even realized. So broken bar, will you marry me?" "Not because of her, because of us." I cried again in my ridiculous habit, but this time out of overwhelming joy. "Yes," I whispered, "I will." We married quietly, far from the noise of the world, holding our daughter between us like a blessing stitched into our destinies. And though people still talk, still assume, still judge, I don't care anymore. Because in the end, I didn't become a rich man's child's mom before marriage by accident. I became his child's mom before marriage because fate was writing our story long before we even met. And now I am his wife, his partner, the mother of his daughter, and the woman he chose against the world. And for the first time in my life, I am not just surviving, I am loved, and I am home.